I challenge everyone to go on a solo trip once in their life. A lot of people are scared to do it. I don't know if not everyone has the same mentality to do that. I think Iceland was definitely the biggest solo trip I've done. It was 9 days and knowing that you're capable to really do some of those harder things in life and international by yourself is scary for people.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Type 2 Fun podcast. Today I have Chris Desmond on. I found Chris online when I was just looking for another hiker or van life type person. He's got a pretty cool Instagram page, and I think he's doing traveling a little bit differently than most people. It sounds like he's got some sponsorships that help him out, but for the most part, you're just kind of vacationing between the grind. And I think what you're doing online, your brief little introduction online, was interesting enough to have you on, and I'm very excited to rip this apart and hear the long version of it. So Chris, how you doing today?
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks. Doing pretty good. So new year, just getting back into work and everything. So yeah, it's been a good start.
Yeah, I feel like I slacked off in December with life and the podcast and everything. So I'm trying to get the cobwebs off and get back in the groove of doing things.
Yeah, December's been just very relaxing for me as well. 2024 has been kind of crazy, just a lot of travel. So excited to kind of share all about that.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll go right into it. Why don't you go ahead and give yourself or give the listeners an introduction and tell us, what started this whole thing and where you are today.
Sure. So my background, I still do the 9-to-5 corporate life. I'm an engineer. So I went to school for plastics engineering. It's a pretty specialized degree. So kind of started in the manufacturing world for the first 7-8 years of my life. So I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So started out there as a project engineer for about 3 years. And then my buddy convinced me to take on another job opportunity in Colorado. This was back in 2016. So been out here a little over 8 years now. And so I did manufacturing, was program manager at the company with him. And then we're all still friends. We also live out here, but we all moved on to bigger and better things. Still about 15, 20 minutes away from each other. So just at different companies now. But yeah, now I'm more focused on the medical device industry. So now I kind of just choose suppliers with my kind of manufacturing background. So I do more supply chain. That was my minor. But yeah, still love it. Great benefits. Good PTO. So that's why I really take every hour that I can when I'm traveling. So I try to utilize that. And yeah, still kind of have that work from home hybrid role as well. So yeah, just try to be creative and use it all. And I think everyone still can take advantage of kind of living that 9-to-5, but also having that adventurous lifestyle as well.
Yeah, and I want to dive into what kind of adventures you're doing because, most people, they just look at these pages online like, oh, it would be nice if I just got paid to do this full time and travel around the world. But as you're hinting at it, it's a bit of a grind for most people because you're putting all this effort into your 9-to-5 to then, go and travel and spend that money elsewhere. And it sounds like you have a little bit of a remote hybrid approach, so you can probably take some of that work on the road with you. What types of vacations or things are you getting into when you're going throughout Colorado or to other states? Yeah.
So really kind of hit more. I mean, I started hiking when I moved out here in 2016. So did a lot of just local hikes first probably 3 years, so 2019 and everything. Love doing 14ers. So that's a big thing in Colorado. So it's a mountain that's 14,000 feet high. So usually start around probably 10 or 11,000 feet. So it's a pretty good steep physical activity, 3,000, 4,000 feet climb. So yeah, love hiking. That's probably one of my top passions. And then COVID really hit and then just kind of got into it more. Started backpacking a little bit and then started planning some more trips. So I think the big one that really took things off. So I went to Banff in Canada and that was summer of 2022. And before, Instagram's always been evolving and changing. So I was really just more of a picture guy, just like taking photography just on the side. Still learning, evolving from that. But started taking some videos, and some of the videos that I posted in Banff. Yeah, just posted one on Instagram one day. We went to lunch and then checked my phone afterwards and it just blew up. So it was like 200,000, 300,000 views in like an hour. And I was like, what the hell is this? So I was kind of thrown off by that. Posted another video literally like 3-4 days later, and that one also went off. So that week just kind of had a crazy, just kind of spiral of viral videos. Didn't really think anything of it, just kind of thought it was a cool thing. I was like, all right, cool thing. I still didn't really have much followers at the time. I think maybe, I don't know, 2,000 or so. But yeah, so just kind of always posted my hiking trips. But that was really the one that kind of took things kind of to another level. Just kind of went on with my life, posted some more hiking trips. And then 2023 is really when I started doing some more solo trips. So yeah, end of 2022, got out of a relationship. So I think that's kind of what took it to another level as well. So changed my mindset up a little bit and just kind of focused on myself. And 2023 was just a lot of planning for some epic adventures. So did a lot of different solo trips to different national parks. So I have a goal of hitting all the national parks in the US eventually. I'm at 26 right now. So have a couple of goals this year to knock some more off. But yes, I think one of the solo trips that really comes to mind is Iceland. So I went there, did a did a rooftop tent SUV, and I just drove around Iceland for 9 days. So that was a lot of fun. So that year kind of took off some more viral videos just here and there. But my page just started growing kind of in 2023 a lot. Really just kind of expanding kind of that adventure role and doing a lot more epic hikes and just a lot of cool views, big sunrise and sunset hiker. So I did a lot of that. I think Washington State was a fun trip as well. So I have a twin brother actually. And he doesn't have the same hiking passion as I do, but we still go on vacations together every year. And so him and his buddies actually invited me out to Seattle in 2023, and it was the All-Star break. So we're big baseball fans as well. So on top of that, I was like, oh, I haven't been to Washington yet, so I'm going to tack on some hikes around here. And I rented a camper van out there for about 5-6 days after the All-Star game, and just did a little solo trip around Washington and hit all the 3 national parks there. So that was a really fun one. I'm actually working on putting a travel guide together for that trip. That was just so much happened that year. So I'm just trying to catch back up to getting all that together. But I do like sharing kind of just free knowledge and travel guides just for people that want to do the same thing. But yeah, I think the Type 2 fun, I definitely cram some things in because I do have that limited vacation. I don't have unlimited vacation. But I still have a pretty good set amount of PTO, but I try to utilize it and explore different places as much as possible. So I'll be putting that together, but I do wake up early. So I'm a morning person. So a lot of my hiking vacations, I'll try to do a lot of cool sunrise hikes. And then really until that sun goes down, I'm really trying to do as much as possible.
Yeah, that's good. I actually think that's a pretty good transition because you went into, the fact that you're cramming this in with your PTO. So do you have any like tips and tricks on how you do this with the hybrid or without it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't work like too much remotely. Like I have an SUV, so I just got an SUV this year. So I'm going to plan on doing some more car camping. I think I'm going to buy the Starlink. A lot of my van life friends, they have that. So I've tried to utilize a little bit of remote time while still working either in a coffee shop or kind of elsewhere. So you kind of got to maneuver around to make sure you have signal and stuff. And then I work with suppliers all around the world, so the time zones kind of make things challenging sometimes too. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I kind of base PTO and I kind of transition and blend through holidays. So I'll tack on kind of an extended vacation around maybe like a Labor Day or 4th of July. So you can kind of utilize and get more time out of your vacations.
Yeah, and how do you balance the stuff that you do locally, like local being like Colorado, right? You can get to so much different things within Colorado, and you can
Yeah.
drive there. I don't know. I feel like when you live in the Midwest, like I do, anything within like 8 hours is drivable. So we just hop in the car and we do these long ass road trips overnight to get places, and that's how we vacation most of the time. And it's much more
Yeah.
affordable than flying. So I'm curious how you balance the local stuff, driving, versus getting out and like hopping in the plane to go to Banff.
Yep. Yep. So local stuff, I'll wake up early or I'll just drive the night before. So if I take off maybe a Friday, I'll kind of go Thursday night, either camp overnight somewhere, just to really extend that time. But I mean, I'm also crazy and I've done 4-hour drives and did a 2-hour hike and then drive back the same day. So there's people out there that do that. And yeah, so I think Colorado has definitely shifted my mindset on driving places, and really just road trips around the area don't affect me. Back in Pittsburgh, I feel like if I was to drive somewhere more than an hour and a half, it would be kind of like a mental like bubble. I like a lot of, I don't know, just I think it's just a whole different mindset back there. You don't have that scenic views like Colorado. So I think there's just a different shift in that mindset to go further places and not have it bother you.
And I can totally relate to that because Michigan, especially lower Michigan, is very boring. So if I'm going anywhere, I have to get through that initial lameness. I have to go 5 hours to either get to UP or try to get out of the Midwest, and even that's just really blah. So you're kind of tuned into whatever you have on your radio or your whoever you're riding with to kind of distract you until you get to that scenic stuff. But thankfully out in Colorado, I mean, you can get to Utah and all that within a reasonable time frame.
Moab's only 5.5, 6 hours away. So Utah's a lot of fun stuff. So I've been out that way a lot. Did all the big 5 national parks. So I did a road trip out there last year. I go there every year. Around April time is usually when I go there. It's just I feel like it's March, April is the best weather for right before it gets hot. But also our vacation doesn't roll over. So every April is when we have to kind of use up our rest of our hours. So that's kind of where I always plan like a March, April kind of road trip somewhere, just to use the rest of the PTO hours up.
Yeah, and I know that you're doing a lot of hiking, and you've mentioned these camper vans a lot. So I would have to imagine that there's all these kind of things that you're doing to cut costs and kind of make things cheaper. Like obviously you can fly to Canada and get an Airbnb, but maybe you're also living off your bag or renting a camper van. Like, are you kind of navigating all those different spaces and using that to your benefit?
Yeah, I've done like one Airbnb partnership. I haven't really dabbled too much in that. It's kind of it's a whole different grind. I feel like the hospitality lodging space. I'll do it every once in a while, but just not really my main forte. But yeah, the camper van that kind of came into the waters two falls ago. So I partnered with a company, and typically it's just during the off season, so when they have more vans available. So I'll do a fall road trip. So it's been Washington and Oregon the past couple falls. So that's kind of how I have that partnership that definitely saves on accommodations. So yeah, definitely love that mini van life that I can be a part of every once in a while. Haven't saved up enough yet to fully commit to buy a van yet. Maybe one day. But yeah, I try to utilize even that, or if I do road trips myself, I'll do a mixture of tent camping. Now that I have a SUV, I'm going to do a lot of car camping, and then maybe a mixture of some Airbnbs. I've done hostels before too. Doesn't bother me. I'm 33. Some people my age don't really want to do that lifestyle anymore, but yeah, I'll try to save money where I can, and then budget Usually I'll do like a pretty light meals for breakfast. I'll just do like muffins or bananas and something simple. And then typically make sandwiches for lunch. And then sometimes I'll splurge and I'll do a brewery and some dinner. Another thing I do, I'm a big brewery, craft beer guy. So every place I go, I try to find a brewery, and I'm a big sticker guy. So I have a whole beer fridge in my garage just full of different brewery stickers. So do that too.
I feel like that comes with the territory. If you get into hiking, you have to like breweries. Or
Yeah,
biking.
basically.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love to hear all this. My family, I have a family of I have 2 young kids that are under 4, and my wife, also 33. So a couple connections there. We did a big truck camping trip where we kind of drove around the United States and saw a bunch of stuff in national parks, and it was great because I think the whole trip, month long, we spent like $20 in housing, and that was because we had to pay to camp at Big Bend.
Okay.
But now that we have the family, we know that the truck camping is not so realistic. So we bought a pop-up camper, and we use that to kind of camp around, and we've towed that out to Colorado, and
Yeah.
I've done a lot of stuff with that. So
Another
very cool.
Yeah, another app. I don't know if you use it. So I do a lot of dispersed camping. So it's free
Yep.
camping around public lands. It's called iOverlander. So it's a free app. I use it a lot, and it just has a pretty big community that just kind of shows you where there's some free dispersed camping at. They'll have updates of the coordinates. So it's pretty cool. That one, and I think Dirt is another one that I've used before too.
Yeah, well, since we're talking about apps, like what else are you using for hiking, or did that kind of accommodate the hikes and everything too?
I use All Trails a lot. I mean, I'm an ambassador for them as well. So they've reached out to me, I think, after that Banff videos. So I've been just an ambassador for them, nothing special. The pro plan is fun. I definitely recommend just downloading offline maps just in case you get lost. So I definitely plan ahead, and I'll kind of bookmark the hikes that I want to do, and then I'll download those offline maps. Sometimes those trails get a little tricky, so you just want to make sure you're following them pretty good.
And then you said you had a SUV. Like, do you have anything special going on with your camping inside the vehicle, or is it just like a tent on the side of the road?
So yeah, I have a air mattress. So I actually did a brand deal this summer after I bought the SUV. So it's kind of like a custom fit car air mattress, and it fits in the back of my SUV. Kind of like 2 different single sleeping pads almost. So they can zipper up to 2 of them together, or you can have one. So I'll have one kind of rolled up so my dog can sleep on the other side. So I've been using that, and it's been pretty fun. My friends have kind of like a big conversion kit that they can kind of pull out the drawers in their trucks and stuff. So I haven't gotten to that level yet, but I think that'll be a fun thing to do as well sometime.
Is that the decked
That's a brand. They've just built their own DIY ones custom,
Okay.
So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I mean, you said you have this goal to visit all of the national parks in the United States. How many are there? You said you've done 33, I believe.
Done 26 so far.
26.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And yeah, how many are there? I guess what's on the docket for the next big ones you're gonna hit up?
Yeah. So I did there's 63, I believe, national parks. So I have a handful to do left. I'm probably going to do some New Mexico, and maybe some of the Texas one, maybe in the spring, just to cross off those ones. So I've done most of the southern western ones. I'm also going to do a road trip to San Diego with my dog. So I have a goal this year to have my dog visit both oceans. He's getting a little older, so I'm just trying to just have him adventure more with me as much as possible. So he's still kicking it though. He's 9, but he still climbs 14ers with me. He's an Australian Shepherd, so he's still full of energy. So I'll probably do some California national parks as well. That gets a little challenging with the dog since 90% of national parks aren't dog friendly. So I got to figure that out still. So I'm going to do some research on how I can do that, or if I have some friends in the area, maybe dog sit a day or two. We'll see. So yeah, California and New Mexico are kind of the ones I'm going to target this year. And then I've done the hardest one, or I guess the least visited one, in 2024. It was the Isle Royale National Park. Have you ever heard of that one? It's an island in Lake Superior, Michigan.
Yeah. Yep. I went to school pretty close to there actually, but I've not been out on that island.
Yeah. So that one's, I guess, not much people just know about it or really go to it because it is hard to get to. It's like a 3-hour ferry ride one way. So I was crazy. I did a day trip. I did not take the ferry. I splurged on a seaplane. So I did do I probably did about 10, 12 miles of hiking in one day. And then I flew back for sunset in the seaplane again. So just wanted to cross it off the list. But if I had to do it again, I would definitely plan it better. The only reason I did one day is because I was on a family vacation. So my family is not insane like me. So I just wanted to have a little solo day to myself. And saw the national park was only an hour away from where we were staying. So I was like, all right, screw it. I'm gonna do this day trip real quick. I'll catch you guys for dinner at night. So
that's really cool. I mean, what was that process? I would have to imagine that people have plans in their hangars, just kind of waiting to Airbnb out or whatever the hell they call it.
Yeah. So I had to pivot because I booked a little bit last minute the seaplane and they didn't have a spot for me. Usually solo traveling is kind of easier since one spot's not too hard to grab. So thankfully the weather was actually bad that day that I wanted to go. So we actually pivoted some family plans backwards anyway. So the day that was bad weather, we did something else. And then the next day I was able to get a spot on the plane. So it just worked out.
That's cool. Yeah. You mentioned the dog thing. So when we did our truck camping trip around the US for a month, we had a puppy with us. And we were afraid that puppy was going to just sit in the backseat. And if you don't have eyes on it, it was just going to like gnaw on every single interior piece in that truck. So we ended up taking one of the seats out, building a stage, and then just plopping his crate right there. And it was great because he could just like see over the center console, hang out with us and everything. And now that you mention that, I do remember them having dog restrictions on the trails at these national parks.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them, you can bring them to like paved, like a couple very small paved ones around the visitor center. But other than that, that's about it because they really don't want any disturbance, moose, bear, anything like that. I understand it. So it is what it is. But yeah, you just got to respect those rules.
Yeah, we ended up just finding a lot of very short hikes. And by the end of that trip, and I'm sure your dog's similar, our dog was so comfortable in the vehicle that they didn't care. So we would go out and do like an hour-long trip or hour-long hike, come back, and the dog would be there. We actually went to Death Valley, and obviously you can't leave a dog in the car during that. So we're running the AC. We lock both the doors. That truck is just screaming, trying to keep the truck cold. And we do like a 15-minute hike where you could pretty much see or hear the truck the whole time.
Overlook. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was cool. And it was really fun having the dog there, especially when you're kind of settling down for the night and whatnot. If you do Texas, Big Bend was unreal. And I never hear anybody talk about it.
Yeah. Yep.
It's
that's
great.
the one I keep hearing about.
And you got your like Suburban. So, or what is it? SUV, Suburban?
Yeah, it's SUV. Yeah, it's just like a Kia Sorento. So, yeah.
There's like they have a lot of campsites that are only off-road accessible there.
Oh, okay.
And it makes for a really, really cool experience because you get to just soak in the environment while you're kind of two-tracking through this really unique park. So would highly recommend. And we saw like a crap ton of elk when we were driving into the park. I don't know, just cool. I would recommend that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't care where we take this from here. I mean, you kind of gave us a little sprinkle of what you've seen, what kind of the plans are for 2025. Is there any other goals that you kind of have on your docket for the next year?
Yeah, I mean, I have a handful. I kind of got the international bug this year. So in college, I went to Ireland and Germany. It was 2 different trips. It was kind of for our plastics engineering group. So that was like kind of the first time I went overseas. Um, and then that was back in 2012, 2013. So long time ago. And since then, I mean, I haven't really been international until this year again. So it was a pretty long hiatus. So I was pretty happy to kick off a handful of different trips. So I went to 5 countries this year. Chile for Patagonia, France, Switzerland, Italy for a big 100-mile hiking trip. That was pretty amazing. And then ended it with Peru on another backpacking trip too. So I can get into more of those. But that kind of just got me back into the international traveling bug. Next year, I don't know if I'm going to go crazy with 5. I mean, that was a lot this year. I think I'm just going to do 2 to 3 new countries just to kind of sprinkle it in, because I do want to do more national parks this year around the US and more car camping. Might not be as big as 2024, but yeah, I still want to go overseas and explore a little bit more. So I don't have too much booked at for 2025 yet, but the one trip I do have is Dolomites, Italy. So I am excited about that. It's a pretty famous hiking trek. So it's been on my list, my radar for a couple of years now. So that's going to be end of August. So yeah, looking forward to that one right now.
Yeah, and this kind of reminded me. You said that you've done a lot. I think you said in 2022 you did, or 2023 you did a bunch of solo trips, and then 2024 you kind of dove into that group trip more often. Do you have any kind of retrospection on solo hiking versus group hiking? Which one do you prefer? I mean, pros and cons.
Yeah. I mean, I think obviously I like solo hiking a little bit more. You just kind of have your own space. There's really no time crunch to be anywhere. You kind of just make your own schedule, and you can. I think it's a better, stronger mindset. I challenge everyone to go on a solo trip once in their life. A lot of people are scared to do it. I don't know if not everyone has the same mentality to do that. I think Iceland was definitely the biggest solo trip I've done. It was 9 days just driving around by myself. So that was definitely, I think, a life-changing experience, just kind of having that stronger mindset and knowing that you're capable to really do some of those harder things in life, and international by yourself is scary for people. So yeah, I definitely think that was a big one. Group trips, I mean, I consider myself kind of an extrovert, introvert. So I like to be around people, have a lot of friends, but also love my downtime. So kind of a mixture of both. So the group trips kind of challenged myself. I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and meet new people. So I had an opportunity arise, and now I'm pretty close friends with the owner of the travel company. So I had an opportunity to go to Patagonia early of 2024. So I had a viral video go off in January of 2024. And that one was like 7 million views. So that was like the most I've ever had. So that was a crazy one. And that sparked a lot of opportunities to just kind of domino effect the entire year. So this travel company kind of hit me up, had an opportunity. I was able to go last minute. I'm not a huge spontaneous person, but when they offered kind of this trip of a lifetime, I couldn't say no. So that was my first backpacking experience. That was a 50-mile called the W Trek. So that was a pretty famous route in Patagonia. Highly recommend to anyone that wants to go down there. So there's a W Trek and the O Circle or Circuit, and W Trek's about 50 miles, and I think the O Circuit's like 75, 80 miles. So that goes in between Argentina and Chile, and we just did the Chile side. But yeah, that was surreal. I mean, the views down there at the end of the southern part of the world, it was pretty awesome, and such a remote place. but yeah, that kind of took things off. And then prior to that viral video, I already had planned going to France, Switzerland, Italy. So that was more of a personal trip to do the Tour de Mont Blanc. So that's another famous trek. So that was about 104 miles through the mountains of France, Switzerland, and Italy. And that was a pretty fun one. I mean, the views were amazing. We got lucky with beautiful weather majority of the trip. It's about 35,000 elevation gain. So it was a pretty tough one as well. But yeah, that was a fun trip. I just went with a couple friends from Instagram. Actually, never met them before the trip, and everything went well. So yeah, so it clicked well, and that was just a really fun trip. And that's kind of how I got that one. I really started like doing more of like a documentary recap, and started getting more passionate about just kind of speaking through kind of these 1 minute quick videos of recap day by day. And yeah, just kind of got more into that, learning how to edit videos, and got more into the understanding kind of more the documentary side. I probably got a little bit more of it also from my brother. So we both have different career paths. So I had an engineering background. He actually went to school for videography, sports broadcasting. So I kind of got that, I think, skill set maybe rubbed off on me a little bit as well. So
we both have an engineering background, and I'm having so much fun just like tinkering with these social platforms and kind of learning what people like to engage with and whatnot.
oh yeah, I'm just learning as I go. I'm definitely an amateur in my mind. So, but I'm definitely getting better day by day on just kind of different ideas and different transitions, how to spin it.
Yeah. I really like how you started off the solo hiking, monologue. You were saying that you enjoyed doing that, and that was a huge point for you, a very spiritual, use a different word, but I think that's something that is very common amongst these episodes that I have, is a lot of people are so scared to get even started on anything. So with hiking, I mean, you can go find a local trail. Even in Michigan, you can go find a free trail at a park. You can use your tennis shoes, your Crocs, whatever you want. You don't have to buy any gear to kind of just scratch the surface if you like hiking.
Yeah.
And in the same vein, right, you can find these groups of people that do it locally. And once you have the confidence built up and all these different experiences of what can go good and bad, then you can ascend to this point where you can do a 9-day trip by yourself. And I just think that's super cool. That's like, I don't know. I'm sure that was like a pure bliss trip for you. And
oh
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah.
Good time to just like reflect on how far you've come with hiking and everything in life. So I had a lot of that when I was doing like my marathon training last year, because I just get to go disappear from the kids, disappear from the wife and the house, and go run for 3 hours at a time, just think about everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. I think that's very common amongst these different groups of people that I interview. Being conscious of time. I mean, is there any like type 2 fun stories that you want to travel on or share? I know you've shared a lot of different places you've gone to, but I'm sure you have a tale that's fun to share that the listeners might get a kick out of.
Sure. I mean, I think the most challenging ones was this year was, so I just started kind of getting into mountaineering as well this year. So my buddy, he is type 2 times 100. So he does ultra marathons. He convinces me to do some of these bigger challenges that I'm used to. I'm not going to be running 100 miles anytime soon, but he convinced me to do this mountaineering hiking trip, Mount Shasta, and that's in California. And it's a 14er, but it's more of a technical climb. So we needed mountaineering gear. So we needed spikes and an ice axe, helmet, and everything. So that was my first time ever doing that. So that was a 2-day trip. It's about a 10 miles, 7,000 feet elevation gain. So it's a pretty steep climb. So we did, I think the 3.5 miles the first day. Then we camped up at this base camp in the middle of the mountain on snow. It was a really cool experience. And then we woke up very early the next day, and I made a pretty good document recap of that. And the first day one went viral on that one. So that was kind of cool to see. And then day two, we woke up like 4 a.m. and hopefully he doesn't listen to this, but my type 2 friend, he almost backed out. It got super windy. It was like 40 miles, 50 miles an hour winds. And he almost didn't want to complete the summit. And I was like, we've made it this far. We are going to at least attempt it and get up and go up there. So finally, we probably like got a little bit slow start in the morning, but 30, 45 minutes later, we did start the hike, and everyone had their headlamps on. So it's still pitch black out. And the first part of the hike is you're hiking about a mile, 2,000 feet elevation gain. So it is a steep hike. And so I have videos of that. But after that section, we were pretty happy. We kind of cruised by a lot of other groups that were doing it. Then the winds did keep picking up. There was 40 mile an hour winds. We had ski masks on, like you name it. If I didn't have that, my face would have been frozen. But we finally made it up to the summit. That statistics, they say only 50% of the people that attempt this hike make it up to the summit. So it is a very challenging hike. So I mean, that was just a surreal moment. So definitely want to get more into the mountaineering adventures. So definitely appreciate him convinced me to do that trip. So yeah, I have a couple ideas. Maybe in Canada this year, we might do another, maybe Mount St. Helens, just like an iconic mountain to hike. So we might do a couple other hikes together. We try to do a guys trip once a year, and typically revolves around some type of hiking of some sort. So that was a fun one. Some crazy type 2 fun. I don't know if it was really crazy type 2, but I was filming a brand deal. So it was the car mattress actually. And I had a deadline to do. So I was kind of going, it was in the fall. So Colorado, if you've been in the fall, has beautiful aspens, like super gold leaves. So it's kind of prime weekend, and I was already in the area for my friend's wedding. And in the morning, I just woke up early before the wedding started. So I went for like a kind of like a sunrise, a little small hike, and then did some content. And as I was filming, I took a break, and I was just kind of opening the door, and I hear this loud kind of tumbling from the hillside next to me. And half my friends believe me, half my friends don't, but I didn't get any video footage. But 2 mountain lion were wrestling each other, and they probably were 40, 50 yards away from me. And they were just wrestling each other down the hill. And it happened so fast. It probably lasted 45 seconds, 60 seconds. And they just kept rolling down this cliff past me. So I was just like frozen. I was like, what the hell do I do right now? So that was probably the craziest kind of story this year that happened. You can't capture everything. I mean, you just got to live in the moment like that. And more safety wise than anything. So I'm not going to some tourists you see in those national parks, they go up to a bison. I can't stand those videos, but yeah, that was a crazy experience. So I packed up pretty quickly because I didn't know if those mountain lion were going to come back or not. Thankfully, I didn't have the dog. If I had the dog that day, yeah, things could have been probably worse. So yeah, did a quick video content for that. And that was unexpected to have that happen so close to me.
Yeah, don't mess with mountain lions. That's terrifying.
No, you don't mess with them.
I feel like you mentioned that your buddy almost wanted to stop like finishing the trip because of the winds and everything. I've had a couple mountaineers on, and they are the most cautious people. Like,
oh yeah, no, he was very knowledgeable of all the mountains. Like, this was not his first rodeo, so yeah, I should have trusted him more. But I was just determined at that point to make it up to the top.
They'll not gladly, but they'll go somewhere, and if the weather doesn't work out or participate, then they know when to call it, so they can live to climb another day.
Yeah,
so that's reassuring to hear other mountaineers kind of saying the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah, Chris, this was fun. I'm glad you got to come on and kind of tell us your tale and how you're doing some of this. I think that there was a handful of tips and tricks in there that, people could really do with their own vehicle or with, obviously yours is kind of unique because you're kind of finding all these different opportunities to travel. But I love that you're getting out there. You have this goal. You're seeing all these new things, and I just think your story is very interesting and approachable for a lot of the listeners.
Yeah. So another point to, some of these travels, I mean, a lot of the personal ones I do, they definitely aren't cheap, I wouldn't say, but I definitely budget around that. I think another thing in my short intro video on Instagram, so back 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I bought a house, and from there I started kind of learning more about real estate, and that's kind of helped with kind of my travel funds as well. So I bought the house, called house hacking, and you rent out kind of a certain amount of rooms in your house, and it kind of offsets the mortgage. So that's definitely helped some of the trips that I've planned this past couple of years as well.
Yeah, I like that. Would you mind sharing like how big is the house and how many people are you renting out to?
Yeah, so it's definitely a sacrifice. It's a 4-bed, 3-bed house, and I rent out 3 bedrooms upstairs, and I have the entire basement suite to myself. So I have the whole basement downstairs, my own bathroom and everything. So it works out. I'm not going to do this forever. I definitely want to settle down eventually, and I don't think my future wife's going to want 3 roommates. So yeah, not a forever thing, but just a short-term sacrifice. And I think just trying to gain that financial stability for the long run.
I love it. Yeah, you mentioned a couple of sponsorships and a lot of friends. So why don't you go ahead and give shout outs and let us know where people can find you.
Yeah. I mean, sponsorships, I have a few. I mean, the biggest viral video, I had a Garmin InReach on my backpack, and they saw that and they reached out to me. So now we've been working together once a month. So that's a really fun one. My buddy works at Chubby's. He's a great guy. So I've been working with some men's clothing brands as well. Steel, working with them on my shirt right here. And then Motera has been the camper van. They've been great to work with. But yeah, my buddy Alex, he's not on social media. The Type 2 Types 100. He's the one that convinced me to do the mountaineering trip. My buddy Mike, he's a big hiker with me as well. And then my brother Matt, he's helped out just on some of the video tips and tricks. But yeah, no, it's been fun. If I missed anyone else, I apologize.
Cool. And we'll put all of that in the show notes. I'll link to Chris's page.
Oh yeah, but yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. So see Desmond Travel. So my first name's Chris, and then Desmond Travel. So I try to do a play on words of see Desmond Travel. So it's kind of how that worked into play. So I changed my handle 5-6 years ago, and just kind of stuck with it. And a lot of my college friends, they all call me Desmond, so it just kind of worked out that way anyway. And yeah, just kind of stuck with it. So all my social handles are see Desmond Travel.
Love it. And we'll link to all that. I'll add some photos and whatever to all this so that people can kind of check you out. You did mention t-shirts, and I wore this for the first time today. We got a cricket for Christmas, and I spun up a t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
About it.
Yeah.
So I might make maybe do a giveaway or something, or I might just spin up a at cost printify store and see what people think about it.
No, that's cool.
So that's been kind of fun. If you made it this far in the episode, I'll tell you this thing smells because I didn't wash it. But I had to put it on. Yeah. Anyways, Chris, thanks for coming on. I hope you enjoyed this. I had a good time hearing about everything, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you.
For sure. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you for listening to the Type 2 Fun podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a follow and feel free to reach out to say hello, give feedback, or share your Type 2 Fun story.